I came rather early because of no traffic on the road. Generally we were encountering some traffic, but not today.
I thought you liked us so much that you wanted to come early and ask some questions.
That is also. Here is an interesting question. Now I answered these two questions because they came from this group only. And then go to the class at the right time so that nobody will miss. This is about Gananantva Ganapatikum Havamahe. I used to start every class with that prayer. And then add another 2-3 verses of prayer. Then it occurred to me that I am cutting into the time available for the class. Especially the classes are 1 hour duration in the ashram. And sometimes we stop them even before 1 hour. Anywhere between 57 to 60 minutes. Out of that 3-4 minutes or even 5 minutes is gone in prayers. Also the prayer becomes mechanical. Same thing you say, looking at people who has come, who has not come, or something else will be going on in the mind and prayer will be happening by itself. Therefore, what I did is, I do Gananantva just one time for the entire 10-day session. Then I noticed that this time I forgot to do that. So I was doing, while starting the classes in Phoenix, I have done one time. And here also I should have done one time, but I forgot. I was looking at the text, this and that, and so my mind was elsewhere, and so I missed it. And therefore it was missed. That is how it happened. Also, I reduced the number of prayers I make because I noticed that these prayers are made mechanically and as a routine they make it. They means who? They. We are all there. And therefore make the prayer smaller and be more focused than making it longer and keep it mechanical and all that. This is some thinking in the head. That is the reason, that is the question. In satsanga, I am not doing any prayer at all. I simply say, Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha, Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, and start answering questions. Now I have not done even that because technically the class not yet started. What happens after the Atma leaves the body? Atma doesn't leave the body. If Atma is easiness. Now, can easiness leave the body? Can gold leave the ornament? Suppose gold leaves the ornament, then there will be nothing. It will be shunya. Therefore, you still find a thing which you call body lying there. Means the easiness did not leave the body. The easiness is. Therefore, Atma did not leave the body. Unless you say, the word Atma means Sukshma Sharira. That is what you say. Yes, it is. But generally we don't use Atma like that unless you specify the context. Atma is Sachidananda Atma, unless you specify the context. Therefore, if you mean Atma as Jiva, the soul, individual soul, then you can say that leaves the body. And so the body is left behind. What happens? You see it all the time. You just visualize a pot is broken. Somebody breaks a pot. What happens to the space? The pot space. What happens to the pot space? It merges in the total space. The wave dampens and finally there is no wave left. What happened to the wave? It merged in the water. So, the body is before you. You need not ask what happens to the body. Everybody knows that. You can only ask what happens to Jiva. Jiva merges in Ishvara, in the whole. Okay? This is Upanishad, not Purana. In Purana, Jiva travels here and there. In Upanishad, Jiva merges. And this is how it is described. When you go to sleep, what happens to you? You are not there, you know. You, the self-conscious person, is not there when you go to sleep. What happens to the self-conscious person? Merges. In what? Merges in what? In that unknown and unknowable reality, which is called Ishvara, Brahman. So, every day you are merging in Brahman and coming out of Brahman, not knowing so. That is how Shruti Upanishad presents it. If every day I am merging in Brahman, after death of the body also I should be merging in Brahman only. That is the Upanishadic way of looking at things. That's why the way we look at things in the context of Upanishad is entirely different from the religious beliefs associated with birth and death. It is an entirely different game altogether. Then one more question. While on this path, you want to describe it as a path. I have not read entirely. Let me read it. It is important to protect the path and not get sidetracked into distractions. Okay. What do you recommend for us to stay focused on this study? You see, you don't ask such a question about a thing which you love. You ask this question only about a thing which you are not sure whether you love it or not. So, suppose you love something, then you don't ask the question, what should I do to keep committed to this without getting distracted? You don't ask that question. Therefore you examine your consciousness, the moment, how it is happening. In certain things, this issue of getting distracted doesn't arise. Why it is not arising in certain things? Why it arises only when it comes to knowing the self? That is what it is. It is knowing the self. It is not about doing something or the other. So only when it comes to knowing the self, why this question arises? Why this issue comes at all? The reason is very simple. The reason is you do not love adequately. You do not have that love. It is proved in many, many ways also. Only problem is you believe that you have it. That is the problem. You believe that you love. But belief is not the point. You do not love it. You love other things more. So this is one thing you have to examine. How much I love the self-knowledge. This is what every student has to examine. Not that you have to examine. Everyone has to examine. And you see, somebody told me, Swamiji, you follow time. How? There is only one answer from my side. I love to follow the time. Even then I may miss, now and then, for whatever reason I may miss, but I really love to follow the time. So that is all. You don't have a process or any such thing about it. Once you love a thing, everything will follow. Once again, Saint Francis of Assisi, you know what he said? Love and do what you will. Therefore, that is the critical thing, the love. People who learn Vedanta, I am coming back into my track, okay? Please bear with it one more day. People who learn Vedanta or who assume that they are learning Vedanta, and people who teach Vedanta, include them also, don't leave out anybody, the gurus of the world. All of them have to examine this issue, not just the questioner or the speaker. All of them have to examine this issue, because all of them, even while proclaiming their allegiance to self-knowledge, they do many other things at the same time, which only proves that their love for self-knowledge is very shallow. If you love self-knowledge, you don't do many other things at the same time. Therefore, what you need to do is you have to examine your love for self-knowledge. And then, as you notice that you really do not have adequate love for self-knowledge, then things will start changing. There is no other answer. You love self-knowledge, then you will not be distracted. It is that simple. Also, the question used a language, the path. Some language you have to use. Without using any word, how can you communicate? So I am not questioning the expression itself, but I wanted to pass a remark. This self-knowledge is a journey, a timeless journey in a pathless land. Because you make it into a journey. People all say that it's a journey. They all proclaim that it is a journey. Okay? Once you proclaim it is a journey, then you have put yourself into the flow of time. And so you have bound yourself into time. So the journey will be going on. Something happened. Okay, that's all right. That's all right. Therefore, I suggest pay attention to some of these things. It is timeless journey. It is not a time-bound journey. Suppose you are afraid of the serpent, the rope serpent. How much time you take to become free of the fear? You don't take time. There is no process, there is no time. Only you see. Seeing is timeless. You see that there is no serpent. Over. Now there is nothing more to do, and knowing to know that there is no serpent is not a process, it is not a mechanism, there is no how to it. Knowledge doesn't happen in time. Knowledge is timeless. Karma is time-bound. People don't know the difference between karma and knowledge. Karma and jnana. They don't know the difference. That's why they put both into time. So the day you realize that karma is time-bound, karma is a time process. It's a process in the flow of time. Whereas knowledge is timeless. Once you realize that, then you become a spiritual entity, as I was describing yesterday. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Gananam Ganapatim हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। यस्य निश्वसितं वेदा यो वेदेभ्योऽखिलं जगत् निर्ममेतमहं वन्दे विद्यातीर्थमहेश्वरम्. I am looking at 733. अज्ञानमावृतिस्तद्वत् विक्षेपश्च परोक्षधीः अपरोक्षमतिशोकमोक्षः तृप्तिर्निरङ्कुशा. Like that there is a verse in which 7 steps are described. This 7 number somehow it is popular in a certain way. Like Balaji Tirupati lives on the 7th hill. So you have to cross 7 hills to reach Balaji. Why 7, why not 6 or why not 8? So some significance to the 7. 7 stages are described in Yoga Vasishtha. Sapta Bhumikaha. 7 levels of self-knowledge. You move from step to step. Like that 7 steps are described. I don't remember all the 7. In one of those sessions I have taught these 7 in Salesburg. Some of you might have attended it also only recently, some 2-3 years back. Then here Vicharanya Swami, he talks of 7, but his 7 seem to be different from that 7. One has to verify that. We have a group of 7 steps before us. In these 7, the first 3 are ignorance. The next 2 are knowledge. 3 plus 2, 5. The next 2 are liberation. 5 plus 2, 7. That is the arrangement. This is unique to Vicharanya Swami. This is not Yoga Vasishtha. Yoga Vasishtha follows its own mechanism. Just because the number 7 is there, it doesn't mean everything is the same. So, in ignorance, there are 3 steps. Like you see a serpent. There is no serpent. There is no serpent. It is a very interesting example because people see serpents. Everywhere they see serpents. I am a Hindu, so Christian is a serpent, Islamic person is another serpent, Jew is a serpent, Buddha, Buddhist is, all are serpents now. Okay? I am a Brahmana, therefore Kama is a serpent, Reddy is a serpent, etc. I am Microsoft, therefore somebody else is a serpent. In India, I am a Punjabi, therefore Madrasi is a serpent. Till the other day, between Telangana and Andhra, I am an Andhraite, so Telangana is a serpent. I am a Telangana guy, therefore Andhraite is a serpent. You put some money in a security and they become serpents now. You look at them with fear. There are so, you understand the serpent thing? People see serpents everywhere. Even in God also they see a serpent. Why do you see a serpent with God? Because you are afraid of God. If you love God, you don't see serpents. Only when you are afraid of God, you see serpents. This serpent is everywhere. Adam and Eve also has serpent. Old Testament. So you look at a serpent. You are looking at a serpent. There is no serpent. The example applies not only Rajju Sarpa, but also to every serpent just now I have described. Everywhere it is just the same. That's why Rajju Sarpa Drishtanta. Very powerful. The meaning of that serpent you have to carefully catch hold. Are you seeing a serpent? Oh, that person is plotting against me. I am seeing a serpent. What is there to plot against me? He is welcome to plot another few plots also. You don't lose anything. You know why? Because there is nothing to lose in this world. It is a myth. What is there to lose? You don't lose anything. There is nothing to lose. Therefore, you don't see serpents. But suppose you are afraid that you have something to lose, then you will see serpents everywhere. Then a stage comes when the husband sees a serpent in the wife, and vice versa. And then they go to the lawyers, the attorneys. The attorneys welcome them. And then after a while they learn that the attorneys are the serpents. It's a crazy world. So, this is all distraction, you know. The original point is still sitting there to be examined. Now we will examine it. So we are looking at a serpent. There is no serpent. And what is, and you don't know what is. That is ajnana. Why don't you know what is? Why don't you know? You don't know what is. And therefore, because what is covered. Avarana. There is a cover. In this case, the mild darkness which covers. If it is a complete darkness, you don't see serpent. You don't see anything, therefore you don't see serpent also. But it is mild darkness, mild light. So, manda andhakara. Mild darkness. Like dusk. And therefore you don't see clearly. And so, that means the darkness that covers it. That is avarana. And you project a serpent. Serpent is not there, it is in your head. It is not there outside. Outside there are no serpents. That allegoric serpents are metaphor. I put it as a metaphor, you know, I described it as a metaphor. There are no serpents in the world. Only we imagine the serpents. So that imagining is called the projecting. You project a serpent. Because when you imagine here. But when you project, you see it there. Therefore, this projection of a serpent is called vikshepaha. This is the essence of ignorance. So there is avarana, there is a cover up, there is a veil, and then there is a projection. You see, ignorance is like a fever. It's like a fever. There is a kind of fever, when the fever goes very high, 103 or 104, the organs stop functioning properly, the brain also gets higher temperature, it gets into higher temperature, and therefore the brain starts imagining things. The entire function of the brain cells goes awry, it goes awry, and therefore you end up seeing all kinds of things. That is how people are. That is why the samsaris are told to be suffering from a disease called bhava, samsara. Bhava roga, it is a fever. Samsaris are in fever. They are feverish. Please don't mind, okay? I am not telling about you, I am saying a topic of ajnana. This fever, the samsara fever it is, it makes people see things which are not there. That is the projection. People see things which are not there. And people are insecure. What is the insecurity? They always remember the experience of pain in the past. Always remember, oh, that was very painful, this was very painful, like that. This habit of living in the past, it takes over the people. You look at the people, they fill their house with albums and memorabilia, which only proves that they love to live, that they like to live in the past. Look at them, they have a camera hanging from the shoulder all the time, which only shows that these people live in the past. They are addicted to the past. Otherwise, why do you need a camera? What is the job of a camera? It converts the present into the past so that you can enjoy it in the future. What a silly thing to do. You miss the present, all the way. Then they have incorporated this camera into this Karna Pishachi. Now it is not only Karna Pishachi, it is Netra Pishachi also. Because now it comes with a camera. And everybody is a photographer. Now poor Kodak company, what happened to it? I don't know, it must have folded up the business log back. Because nobody goes to Kodak anymore. Because they don't want, everybody is a cameraman. And all photographic places, in our childhood we used to have photograph places. We call it a studio, photo studio. Everywhere in India we used to have photo studio. They all disappeared. They just went bankrupt, folded up their business. Because everybody is a photographer. And therefore you have the past stored. It is already stored here. You have enough past overflowing here. But some more of it, you want to record and keep it. Means you create an addiction. How people get addicted to smoking? How do they do? First they smoke one cigarette, then throw up. And then they go for it. And then again, and then again. Now they cannot give it up. So this is how we develop this addiction to past. Now you cannot give up that past. And therefore, you live in the past. Really, you live in the chronological present and the psychological past. That is how people live. You touch the person, all the past will be pouring out. You say hello or you talk with the person, all the past will be pouring out. He says, I am 64 years old, that is past. My children, that is past. Everything is past. Every single word you speak is past. Now, can we say Jagat is Mithya? You need any further proof for that? Because your entire world view is rooted in memory, which is past, means which is dead. In a way, we are living in the burial ground all our life of the past, burial ground of the past. So it's an addiction. And therefore, you always remember the pain of the past, the painful experiences of the past, because of the addiction, like smoking. The smoker, every half an hour he remembers his cigarette packet. It is sitting in the pocket. And so he pulls out a cigarette and smokes. Every half an hour. Till he falls asleep. We are no different. Every half an hour we remember the past. And the past, some pleasant experiences could be there, but we don't pay much attention to them. We don't have the habit of counting our blessings. If you learn to count the blessings, you will be more devoted to the Supreme Will. And also you will realize that things happen, you don't do them. It's a big realization. Therefore, we don't remember the good things of the past. We remember only the bad things. And therefore, we live in the fear of that pain coming back in one form or the other. We lost some money earlier, and we are in permanent fear of losing the money one more time. We went through some sickness earlier, and therefore we live in the fear of becoming sick again. We have seen death earlier, and therefore we fear death. This is how. The ajnana, it makes us see things which are not there. The mind is goaded by the fear of pain. Therefore, this is how ajnana operates in people's lives. What is ajnana in practical terms? What I say is all practical only. Vedanta is practical. Samsara is the most impractical thing. Not Vedanta. Now, in samsara, you are creating pain and you are creating suffering and fear, Or are you creating happiness? What are you creating? Pain and suffering and fear, that is what we are creating. And now, is that practical? What is practical about it? It is the most impractical thing. The worldly life is the most abnormal thing. Most abnormal. There is nothing normal about it. Our desires are abnormal, our fears are abnormal, and the actions that we perform goaded by those desires and fears are abnormal. There is nothing normal in our life. We are very abnormal people. That is how samsara is. The only normal thing is desirelessness and fearlessness. That is the only normal thing. Normal is according to your nature. Whatever is fits into your nature, that is normal. And whatever is opposite to your nature is abnormal. Yeah. There is infinite happiness in you, but you are able to create so much unhappiness and fear to you. What is normal about it? What is normal about the works that people do, the actions that the people perform? What is normal about them? They are busy fulfilling their desires. Is there any normality in them? This is the ajnana. To act out of desire and fear is bondage. Just to act out of desire and fear is bondage. The favor of ajnana is so deep that even the students of Vedanta resist what I say about desire. You end up saying something about desire, you have to give up desires. Swamiji, you mean all desires? Yes, you have to give up all desires. How can that be? You see, the resistance, you see. How you go and ask Shri Krishna, why you ask me? Go and ask, catch hold of him and ask him why he says like that. Or catch hold of Shankara, if you come across, and ask him, why do you ask a poor Swami, who is only just saying a few things which Shankara and Shri Krishna said for the sake of his bhiksha? So, to act from desire, any desire, and fear is bondage. To act from love is freedom. That's why love and do what you will. It won't bind. Whatever you do, it won't bind. Desire or fear and then what you will, do whatever you will bind you. This is how ajnana operates. You see, ignorance causes suffering. Knowledge or understanding gives happiness. That is the law. But you have to distinguish between happiness and pleasure. When I say happiness, that is not pleasure. Pleasure is to desire a thing and get hold of it, and then it comes into contact with the sense organ, and a sensation is created. Out of that sensation, a sense of euphoria is created in the mind. That state of mind is called pleasure. I am not saying that. Whereas happiness is, the mind and sense organ are not involved. The mind is now very quiet. There is no involvement of sense organ. There is no involvement of sense object. There is a serenity within you, and that is experienced as a spontaneous or reasonless joy. Unless you say understanding itself is a good reason. So I said reasonless. Reason means outward reason is not there. That is the joy or happiness. So happiness follows understanding. Whereas ignorance causes sorrow. In every single situation, when you experience sorrow, you should immediately become alert, attentive. That inattention binds. Inattention or inadvertence binds. Attention liberates. Like you remember something from the past, something that happened some time back. And you give your own interpretation to that something. You become unhappy. Suppose you become alert. When you are unhappy, you become alert. What is the alertness? Why am I unhappy? Suddenly I am doing fine, had some nice lunch. Nobody misses a breakfast or lunch. They become only unhappy. You decide every time when I become unhappy, I miss either a breakfast or a lunch. Then you become less unhappy and you will lose some weight also. So nobody misses a break. You are unhappy, okay, you miss today's breakfast. Unhappy, miss breakfast. No, first let me finish breakfast and then I will resume the unhappiness. So every time you are unhappy, you pay attention. Hey, suddenly why I became unhappy now? The memory. Now you are going in the right direction, the memory. But suppose you see something outside, you are on the wrong direction. Because sorrow is, it is the thought which breeds sorrow. Sorrow is not caused by outer things or by planets and stars. The thought breeds sorrow. Thought is past, thought is memory. Therefore memory breeds sorrow. And why? Okay, memory. So now you are looking at yourself. Now you know how the sorrow is created. And now look at that memory of that incident, whatever happened. Look at that incident. What is that incident? Somebody died. Is that? Somebody dying is the most natural thing to happen. Why are you sorrowful about it? If somebody is living, you have to be sorrowful about it. I like a person, and that person is a very unhappy person. And I remember that person. I am sorrowful. I love a person. The person is no more. I am glad. Is there any logic in your sorrow? Is there any rationale? The moment you pay attention, the sorrow dissolves. It is the lack of attention, inattention, that is the ignorance. The essence of ignorance is inattention. Don't pay attention. Why you don't pay attention, shall I tell you? Because you have handed over the solving of this problem of sorrow to the outside authority. Some spiritual authority has to solve your sorrow for you. Now there is no possibility of any attention. Right? Now there is no attention. You have a reason not to be attentive. So this is how ignorance operates in people's lives. 3 levels of ignorance. I can go on talking about this ignorance whole day. It is no end for it. There is no end for it. Now comes knowledge. The word knowledge. You see, here he uses 2 words. I told you 3 of jnana, 2 of knowledge. Really speaking, it is understanding, not so much knowledge. You have to make this point clear. Okay? 7 into 13, how much? Forgot a 13th table already? 91, right? You see fire there. Will you put finger into that fire? No. Why? It will burn. Okay? Between these 2, which is knowledge and which is understanding? Is it not clear? Is it not clear? 7 into 13 is equal to 91 is knowledge. Putting the finger into fire will burn the finger. You would never do that. That is understanding. Don't you see the difference between the 2? I'll point out one more difference. 7 into 13 is accumulation. Finger gets burnt when you put in fire. It is not accumulated. You don't even think of it till I mention it. But when the fire is there, instinctively you withdraw the finger. Because you are not withdrawing the finger based on the knowledge of the brain cells. Because it is in your soul, it is very so deep within you, that understanding. Do you see the difference between understanding and knowledge? You see, the understanding, there is a name for it. Intelligence. Intelligence. Suppose without proper attention, I go and put my finger into the fire due to lack of attention. Then the finger gets burnt. Everybody will blame me. Hey, you should be more attentive. What is that? So, means it is not about knowledge. It is about understanding. One great blunder happened in the world of Vedanta. And that is, self-knowledge is put into the category of knowledge, not into the category of understanding. Mainly because the distinction between the two is missed. These two categories, there is a category called understanding versus knowledge. They are two different things. This distinction is missed, is overlooked. And you know what happens? Accumulation of knowledge, it becomes the most important thing in life. Accumulation of knowledge. So the Acharya calls it Paroksha Jnanam. Paroksha Dhihi, he said, which is Jnanam. He said Dhihi to fit into the meter. Paroksha Jnanam, Aparoksha Jnanam. Jnanam doesn't fit into the meter in both cases. That's why Paroksha Jnanam, he calls it Paroksha Dhihi. Aparoksha Jnanam, he calls it Aparoksha Matihi. Because he has to fit into meter. This is the verse problem. Verse problem, but verse has advantage too. You can easily memorize. People are, if you don't, if you pay attention to what I am saying, I venture to say, people means we, you and I, we are the people. We have the habit of accumulating. That is our habit. Because we are always accumulating. And without even seeing, we accumulate. We are always accumulating. Without even seeing. I met one old woman in Secunderabad. Poor lady, she is not mentally sound. She is no more, she died. And she used to come out with a big bag and go on putting things into it. And her daughter used to be very angry with her. If you go out with that bag, I will break your legs. Like to that extent, the daughter was angry with her because she fills that bag with all kinds of silly things. Somebody threw, they'll litter, in India they'll litter. They drink water and throw the bottle. She puts that bottle into the bag. Her mind was not good. She was not mentally sound. Poor lady, she goes out without the daughter keeps an eye. The son-in-law goes to the office, daughter keeps an eye. The mother, she is still moving around, not bedridden or anything. She was healthy, physically healthy. And so she gives a slip to the daughter and comes out. And she comes out with a bag. The daughter hides the bag, but somehow she manages another bag and goes on filling that bag. And she reaches home. The daughter knew that the mother slipped. We don't know in which street she went, but she will come back. Lunchtime she will come back. And by the time she comes back, her bag is full of things, worthless things. Samsaris are like that. They are no better. That lady was mentally not sound. Samsaris are no better. Samsaris are insane. That is the question of mental soundness. They are insane. They accumulate. And then worry about what they have accumulated. What do you think of samsara? Do you want me to praise samsara? You got a wrong guy, I tell you. So we have this habit of accumulating without ever seeing. No seeing. Seeing is understanding. Seeing is understanding. If you see, you don't accumulate. Habit of accumulating, this gathering, is a process of the mind. It's a mental process. We believe that by gathering more wealth, the problems of life will be solved. That is how we believe. Even Swamis believe that. The samsara doesn't spare anybody. The maya, aghatita ghatana patiyasi maya. It doesn't spare the Swamis, it doesn't respect personalities. It doesn't respect ashram and dress and all that. Even Swamis, they gather money. Why we people gather money? Because we somehow believe that by gathering money, the problems of life will be solved. And by gathering possessions, have more and more possessions that will solve the problems of life. I ask you, gathering of money and gathering of possessions, did they solve the problems of life? Did you ever solve the problems of life by gathering money? If gathering of money and possessions solves the problems of life, there will be nobody sitting in Vedanta class, I tell you. And nobody in the temple also. And the astrologers will go without clientele. Because the gathering has made people so unhappy, and they don't know that it is the gathering which is made unhappy. That's why the astrologers have more and more clientele. The temples have crowds, and the Vedanta classes have at least a few people. So, the point I am driving at, be prepared, I tell you. I am driving at a point. I am not sure whether you are prepared for it or not. Anyway, whether you are prepared or not, I started and so I drop it. The bomb has to be dropped. I cannot withhold it. So, when a gathering of wealth did not solve the problems of life, gathering of possessions did not solve the problems of life, why do you believe that gathering of knowledge will solve the problems of life? That is the bomb. And the bomb is dropped in a session dedicated to knowledge. You see the anomaly? Not anomaly, see the paradox? It's a paradox. I suggest you have gathered the knowledge from the university. You went to the university and gathered the knowledge. Did it solve problems of life? It did not. Now, did you notice the most uncharacteristic argument that I am putting forward? It is not difficult to understand, particularly in a Vedanta class, that it is said that gathering wealth doesn't solve problems of life. You agree with that. I mean, you nod your head, because it is a Vedanta class, you know. It is not a karma which is aimed at making money. Suppose you are worshipping a goddess to make money. There I come and say, gathering of money doesn't solve any problems of life. They will all be stunned. Hey, what is this man thinking? Throw him out of the window, I say. He doesn't fit into the system. Because all of them are sitting and doing puja to make more money, and this man says money will not solve anything. What is that? We are doing puja because money is supposed to solve things. But at least in Vedanta class, you nod your head, because it is expected in a way. Gathering positions also will not solve the problems of life. You expect that. But you don't expect gathering of knowledge will not solve the problems of life. That you don't expect. Let us look at this knowledge, non-Vedanta knowledge versus Vedanta knowledge. That is the context. Gathering of non-Vedanta knowledge, does it solve problems of life? Please tell. No. Now comes the real bomb. Gathering of Vedanta knowledge, will it solve problems of life? No? No. Because you look at it, I say, you will see the people, they have gathered so much Vedanta knowledge, it did not solve the problems of life. Sometimes, in the process of gathering Vedanta knowledge, you become a victim of Gurudom, you have created more problems for yourself. Imagine. So what you need is not gathering of knowledge. That accumulation mentality should go away. That's why it is not a process of time. Gathering of knowledge is always a process of time. Whereas seeing the truth is not a process of time. So this is the distinction. So intelligence is seeing the truth. Seeing of pashyati, sapashyati. Sri Krishna uses the word pashyati. He doesn't say janati. Yo janati sa janati. He never ever says that. Never. Yaha jnani saha jnani or some such. He never says that. If pashyati, sapashyati. Because jnanam is a gathering, accumulation in the brain cells. Pashyati here. Ayamatma Brahma, not Ayamatma Brahma. So this is pashyati, seeing, not gathering. It is opposite of gathering. Seeing, it is called aparoksha jnana. This is how Vidyaranya Swami puts knowledge versus intelligence. You have to translate it into English, you know. You cannot say paroksha jnana. What is this paroksha jnana? Translation of paroksha jnanam. You cannot do like that. You have to translate it into English. Then start something else. It is not a translatable word. Come on. You don't know how to translate. Those who know it. So paroksha jnanam is normally called knowledge. Aparoksha jnanam, that is what Vidyaranya Swami is talking about. It is called intelligence. Okay? Intelligence. What is fire? What is fire? Many people do not know. Many people do not know. In Europe, there was research on fire for 100 years. And many theories were there. Finally, they understood the fire, that is the birth of spectroscopy. Fire is hot gases. When the gases become heated beyond a particular temperature, the gases emit light. Even the metal, when you heat it, up to a point it is hot but not emitting light. Iron piece. But if it becomes hotter and hotter, then it starts emitting light, red light. And based on the light emitted, you can tell which is that metal. If it is yellow light, that is sodium. If it is red light, that is iron. Like that you can tell. If it is blue light, it is aluminium. You can tell like that. Nobody knows what is fire. Not many people know what is fire. But everybody knows that fire burns. Even a kid knows that fire burns. That is intelligence. This is knowledge. Knowledge has its role. You need knowledge. because of which you practice a profession, You teach mathematics, you need knowledge. You teach engineering subject, you teach Java or C++. You need knowledge. And all of you are practicing profession of knowledge, profession out of knowledge. And the Vedanta teacher is practicing a profession out of his knowledge. That Vedanta. It is a profession for the Vedanta teacher, but it is worthless for the people. Unless they are trying to become professional Vedantins. I'm a bit harsh. No, I'm not harsh. By hindsight, I say I'm harsh. I'm just speaking spontaneously. When it comes to life, you see, you have to live a life. We are trying to look at life so that some understanding comes. Thereby we can solve the problems of life, or whatever life left. For solving the problems of life, you need intelligence, not knowledge. Then knowledge is useless. It is not useless. It is not useless. You see, knowledge of electricity, knowledge of knowledge of voltaic cells, all these put together, Tesla car came. It is not useless. Knowledge of anatomy, knowledge of physiology makes you a doctor to treat a sickness. The patient gets benefited, you get your fee and you become happy, make money. Knowledge you need. I have accumulated some knowledge here, that's why I am sitting before you. Knowledge you need. But if you don't see the distinction between intelligence and knowledge, and there is only one topic in this creation, one discipline, only one discipline in this creation where intelligence is more important than knowledge. There will be knowledge there also, but intelligence is more important than knowledge. There is only one discipline of that nature. Nowhere else that discipline is not there. Maybe it is there elsewhere also. So that is Vedanta, where intelligence is more important. Therefore, you may begin with knowledge, parokshati, but eventually, hopefully, you graduate into intelligence, provided you aim for it, you have to aim for it. So, if you have intelligence, it helps us to deal with the enormous problems of life. I tell you one more thing about life. Life is not static. Life is dynamic. It is like a river flowing. It is dynamic. And when life throws a challenge, you want to solve it based on knowledge. Knowledge is static. It is accumulated, accumulation. It is put in the brain cells. It is static. And life is dynamic. This static knowledge may not solve the dynamic life's problems. Whereas intelligence is dynamic. Intelligence is not accumulation. Intelligence is not memory. Intelligence is dynamic. I find, I always see that I am a very clumsy person in a few things. I am a bit clumsy. Whereas some of these kids, 10-year-old or even 20-year young people, they are very intelligent. I am clumsy and I love them for their intelligence. So they are very smart. He may not have as much knowledge I have, the young man, but he has a lot more intelligence. That's why he moves through the difficult situations very easily, whereas I am struggling with myself in a very clumsy way. I see this all the time. Therefore, knowledge has its role. We are not here to dismiss knowledge. You have to understand there is a thing called intelligence which only helps you solve the problems of life, not knowledge, including Vedantic knowledge. That's why we come across big scholars of Vedanta, very big scholars of Vedanta. Kudos to their scholarship, but they are not intelligent. They don't have any intelligence. I would like to say, sometimes this knowledge, if you don't pay attention, the Vedanta knowledge, if you don't pay attention, can become an obstacle to that intelligence, which helps you solve the problems of life. Because knowledge is time-bound, intelligence is timeless. Intelligence is not time. It is not in the process of time. Whereas knowledge is time-bound. Intelligence is in the present. Knowledge is always the past. Therefore, people may not like what I am saying, because it sounds as if I am saying something against knowledge. You may misconstrue what I am saying that way. Please don't do that. If you do it, then it is up to you. I am not trying to convince you or any such thing. You may want to see the distinction clearly. Intelligence is not the outcome of knowledge. It is not, if you pursue the process of acquiring knowledge, that may not lead to intelligence. That may not. So, in fact, by having a great deal of knowledge, suppose you have a great deal of knowledge, you are likely, it is very likely that you do not meet life with intelligence, because the knowledge comes in the way. I told you the story of the washerman and his donkey and a great scholar. I remember this story, right? Therefore, I would say intelligence is not the outcome of acquiring knowledge. And unless you pay attention to this basic distinction between paroksha jnanam and aparoksha jnanam, namely knowledge versus intelligence, if you don't pay attention to this, then you go on acquiring more and more and more of knowledge, then your chance of meeting life with intelligence becomes very slim, because this knowledge comes in the way. Life is an extraordinary thing. It is never stationary. We want it to be stationary. Somebody dies, we cry. Why? Because we want life to be stationary, but life is not stationary. Yeah. Just one example I gave. Like a river, the life constantly flows. So, you cannot meet life, the present, with the knowledge which is the past. You have to meet life, the present, with intelligence, the present. Suppose you study Vedanta, Tattvabodha kind of Vedanta. I would give a different nomenclature, Tattvabodha type Vedanta versus Atmabodha type intelligence. Atmabodha is something I tell you. The other day, some sannyasis and brahmacharis of Ramakrishna Mission were studying Atmabodha with me. That is something different. If you convert Atmabodha also into knowledge category, God bless you, I cannot do anything about it. Tattvabodha is accumulation. Atmabodha is intelligence. Verse 1 onwards, it is intelligence. There is no accumulation in Atmabodha. It is intelligence. Means you are able to see what you are. Some hint of yourself. you are able to get. That is intelligence. So, therefore, by gathering more knowledge, if you believe that you will become intelligent, you are wrong. And one more thing I tell you, between accumulation and between knowledge and intelligence. I already told knowledge is accumulation and therefore it is in time. Intelligence is not accumulation, therefore it is timeless. I already told that. A more important point I would like to tell you. Accumulation, whether it is wealth or pleasures or possessions or skills or knowledge, accumulation is the game of me, the small self. It is the game of the me, the small self. In fact, you can tell accumulation is the me. You can tell. Because accumulation is an egocentric process. You look at that, it is not even difficult to understand. This is all intelligence, you know. You are accumulating money, that is the me, egocentric. Accumulating possessions, egocentric. You are accumulating virtue to go to heaven or whatever. Punyam, that is egocentric. You are accumulating knowledge, see whether it is egocentric. I mean, you go to university and accumulate knowledge, that is egocentric. And now you go to a Vedanta guru and accumulate knowledge, see whether it is egocentric or not. You tell me, is it egocentric or not?
Yes.
More often than not, it is egocentric. You see that, right? So that's why we come across this peculiar species called a Vedantin who claims he knows more than the other person. That is the accumulation. Very amazing it is. So the me, the ego, the self-enclosed entity, that me is concerned only about accumulating. In fact, the me is never concerned about self-realization. The moment the concern for self-realization happens, the me will not be there. Self-realization is not the realization of the me. Liberation is not of me. Liberation is from me. Accumulation is of me. When there is intelligence, there is no me. You see, the surgeon, he studied anatomy, he practiced a surgery on a dead body. Now, he learnt by watching the senior professors doing surgery. Now he is doing his own surgery for the first time. Okay? Now, of course, he is trained, that knowledge he has. But knowledge alone is enough, or he needs some intelligence also, you tell me? He needs intelligence, right? Once he cuts, opens, he needs intelligence, you know. He needs intelligence. In all probability, what he sees is what already is there in his mind. What he expects, he sees. What he expects, he sees. That is knowledge. But sometimes, something more than what he expects, he sees. And now he has to make a decision. Now knowledge doesn't help. Intelligence helps. That is the difference between knowledgeable doctor and intelligent doctor. Knowledge will be there, but intelligence helps. Therefore, that concern to accumulate is the egocentric activity. It is the ego. So, if you strengthen the self-enclosing me, in the name of studying Vedanta, if you strengthen the self-enclosing me, will you get self-knowledge? Or the self-knowledge will be obstructed? Yeah. Therefore, there is so much conflict in life, so much conflict. All the conflict has only one origin, and that is self-enclosed activity, the egocentric activity. When you accumulate wealth, there is conflict. When you accumulate possessions, there is conflict. When you accumulate knowledge in the university and use it for making the money and all that, there is conflict. And you go to an ashram and become a student and accumulate knowledge of Vedanta, but no intelligence. What do you find? Conflict. It is not some special thing for some people. The nature of egocentric activity is like that. Egocentric activity gives birth to conflict. It is the center of all conflict in life. Intelligence is possible only when you are free from that me, that egocentric activity. That's why one of these days I said, either here or there, this class or evening class, that when you are accumulating, you are not learning. When you are learning, you are not accumulating. Therefore, intelligence is freedom from that egocentric activity. That's why even when you study Vedanta, it could even be Tattva Bodha, no problem. But you don't make it into an egocentric activity, into an accumulating activity, gathering activity. If you do that, it will only strengthen the me. It will not lead to the intelligence which alone can solve the problems of life. Then I see there is a pressure of time in our lives. Pressure of time. Like the parents want their kids to be, their sons and daughters to be married quickly, but they are not married quickly. After marriage, they should give birth to children quickly, because we want to become grandpa and grandma in a big hurry. So, that kind of a pressure we have. And then we want to, we have this pressure of time. I see this, I mentioned it also in the ashram also. They come for a week and you have to finish the text by the week. They are under the pressure to finish the text by the appointed date. Why should I finish the text by the appointed date? Because they have to go back. Where do you want to go back? To the samsara. Then why did you come here in the first place? Therefore, there is the pressure of time in the students. Do you see that? They have the pressure of time. Means they have to go. They have to finish the study and go back. In the university, there is the, you see, when I was a student, engineering BTech degree used to be 5 years. MBBS used to be 5 years. Now they reduced it to 4 years. The pressure of time. And then the universities offer integrated courses, BSc plus MSc. Normally it is 3 plus 2, 5 years. Now you can get it in 4 years in our university. You got it? You understand? There is pressure of time. You have to finish MSc quickly and then PhD. Nobody wants to do PhD because it takes 6 years. Then there is a professor who can give PhD in 4 years. There is pressure of time. And then you come to Vedanta course, and the course is designed under the influence of this pressure of time. I design a course under the pressure of time is there on me. And of course the pressure of time is there on the students also. Under the pressure of time the course is designed. And therefore we come out with these weird things. Namely, you study Vedanta for 1 week, 3 days. 3 days. Why 3 days? Why not 1 week? 3 days. You have to finish in 2.5 days, not even 3 days. First they said 3 days. Now they say 2.5 days. Even 2.5 days they won't give. You have to finish by 11 so that they will have early lunch and go to airport. What are they doing and what am I doing? We are all crazy people. Under the pressure of time we live. Accumulation, it operates under the pressure of time. Whereas intelligence is freedom from the pressure of time. Hurrying and worrying. Hurry and worry. Even in Vedanta. Hurry. I have seen a course of Vedanta was going on, some 2 years or whatever. The course will end on a particular date. And all these students, including the gurus also, they have started counting it, count down. On the board they have put 75. I thought some 75. Next day it was 74. Next day it was 73. Then I noticed, hey, it is coming down every day. What is this? We are counting down the end of the course. Oh my God. They are operating under the pressure of time. Means you have carried this accumulation in which there is no learning into Vedanta course. Now, you may wonder, so Swami, what should we do? We have to, till we fall dead, we have to study Vedanta or what? No, not like, I am not saying that. Don't make it simplistic. I am not saying that. We have to start something and we have to end it. In a chronological way, you may have to end it. I am not against chronological time. I am wondering whether you study Vedanta under the pressure of time. I have finished Katha, then I have to finish Kena, then I have to finish this. Like we have a scheduling mechanism. I finish this course and then do that course. That 1 week course you finish, and then 2 week course you finish, and then 3 months course you finish, and then push 3 days course in between. Kya baat hai? What is this? I mean, do you have an alternate proposal? I don't have an alternate proposal. I am not an organizer. I am pointing out that the students of Vedanta, quite often even the acharyas, they have put the pursuit of Vedantic knowledge into the capsule of the pressure of time. Therefore, it makes you knowledgeable. By all means, it can make you knowledgeable, but not intelligent. Intelligence is freedom from the pressure of time. Accumulation implies time. Intellect is the result of time. Intelligence is not the result of time. It is freedom from the pressure of time. When there is no pressure of time in you, time is the psychological time, not chronological time. My flight is at 9 and I have to hurry and I have to start by 6:30 or so, otherwise I will miss traffic, etc. That is not the kind of pressure I am talking about. That is chronological time. You have to work within the confines of chronological time. But I am telling you, suppose you do meditation. How do people do meditation? Begin a 30 minutes session. And in this 30 minutes, you divide it further. 3 minutes of prayer, last 2 minutes of prayer, in between 25 minutes. And then like that and before going into meditation, you now decide what all you will do after meditation. You plan a whole day and then sit in meditation. And that plan will be popping up in the head. After meditation, I have to take breakfast and then go there. I should not have some urgent work to meet him. And so now you sit in meditation. Now the mind, it is not like this. It is like that. You know the difference? I don't have language, therefore I have shown that. That mind is not for meditation. This mind is for meditation. Therefore, in guided meditations, I suggest you drop all the plans for the day. Drop all the plans. A person has a challenge, why should we drop our plans? Go and sit on the tree. I told a point with a meaning and you don't catch it, then at least you should be humble. So, this is the distinction between paroksha jnanam versus aparoksha jnanam. Once you acquire your knowledge, paroksha jnanam you have, don't allow it to become an obstacle for intelligence, aparoksha jnanam. Allow it to become supportive of aparoksha jnana, and then aparoksha jnana will help you with intelligence to solve all problems of life. That is the remaining two steps. What is the solving of problems of life? The sorrow and fear are gone. There will be no sorrow left. Sorrow for what? And that leaves you a sense of truptihi, means inner repose, the self-contentment, the sense of fullness that you will get. These are the 7. 3 plus 2 plus 2. That is the verse. And the verse is followed by elaborate descriptions. I have covered all of that into one unit. Okay. Now a few questions, and not much, just a little. I too cannot talk beyond the point continuously.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, go ahead.
So when you're talking about intelligence, is that different from assimilation?
I don't know.
Assimilation is where we can internalize what we have learned.
Even in knowledge, that is what you do. Put in the brain cells.
No, in the heart.
Then it is intelligence.
Is it a wisdom then?
Huh?
Is it a wisdom?
Yeah, it is wisdom. It is wisdom.
In the heart.
Intelligence is wisdom?
Intelligence is wisdom. Yeah, that is what it is. It is wisdom. Yeah. You see, when a thing comes in life, when something happens, there are people who are wise and intelligent around.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who sit and cry and they make a big deal out of it, which is a very normal thing, you know. No abnormal things happen to anybody, only normal things happen. It will make you, okay.
Something related to that, as we get older, they say that you should...
You won't become older. Okay, go ahead. But anyway, I appreciate what you said.
People say you need to keep your mind active with crosswords and sudokus and things so that you
No.
become...
That is not active, that is engaged. That is engaged, not active. The mind which is very active means alive. The mind which is alive is an intelligent mind and it faces the challenges of life very correctly. Not this Sudoku thing. That mindset is different. Shall I tell you what is that mindset? Human mind, okay, let me answer that and conclude it. That is a good point, and you cannot say so many things in a given time. Human mind is like, it is hardwired to problems. You think about it. All these things you have to think. Hardwired to problems means in the childhood you go to the school and there they teach something and then at the end of the lesson what will be there? Problems will be there, right? About 25 problems. And answers will be on the last page, right? And what we used to do, we don't read the problem properly and see the answer. In trigonometry, all answers are 0. All answers are 0. You did not see it. It will be 0 or 1. But we see, I think we are anxious to see the answer because we have to solve the problem. This is how we are trained in the school, in the college, and then in life also. Therefore, in a way we are hardwired to face a problem and suffer. That is how we are hardwired. Therefore, when there is no problem, you create a problem so that you can struggle with it. That is the Sudoku mentality. This is there is a name for it. Please don't mind. It is the dog mentality. The dog, you see, it wants to bite onto the bone. The bone is dry. There is nothing to bite. But still, it is an activity the dog likes. The dog likes to chew the bone. The dog is such a silly thing it is, a silly animal, that they sell plastic bones. In Walmart, I was stunned to see the plastic bones. These bones are here. No, they are made of plastic. Plastic bones for what? For the dog. What will the dog do with them? It will chew. Why should it chew a plastic bone? Because it's a dog. There is no other answer. Human mind is like a dog. It wants to chew on something. That's why it takes Sudoku or crossword puzzle and chew on it. But the habit doesn't go. So, you look around and ask somebody, the Vastu guy, hey, my windows and doors are okay? He will look and say, he says it's not okay. Now you chew on that problem. Hey, where is my planet Shukra nowadays? Shukra is looking in a very crooked way at Shani. Oh, is it? Now he has to chew on that problem. I have 1 million. I want to make it 2 million. Okay, chew on it. And then, my near and dear died 10 years back, and so I am okay. Chew. Go ahead and chew. This is the human mind. It wants to chew on the problems, and therefore it creates problems. God doesn't create problems to anybody. You just don't know what is God. You have your conception of God is so corrupt. Even Nastikas are better. God doesn't create any problems to anybody. God is Satchidananda. Why God should create problem to Jiva? Jiva is Amshaha. You create problem to your hand and your... you don't create, Being intelligent, you won't create that. God won't create problems. The mind creates problems. There are no problems. The mind creates problems. By emotionally rejecting and creating distress and all that. That is the dog mentality of the mind. Therefore, don't convert life into a series of problems. Try to see that there are no problems. Somebody died, God bless. Many problems are solved. What life cannot mend, death ends. What a blessing it is. A person is sick on the bed, sick for weeks and months, he is no more, God bless. What a blessing it is. But people create problem out of it. They create problem out of it. That is the mentality. Mind is like that Sudoku mentality. If I say dog mentality, it may not sound dog. Sri Krishna uses the word dog, nothing wrong with the dog. Shunichaiva Shvapakeja Panditas Samadrishina. He uses the dog analogy. What is wrong with the dog analogy? Neither dog analogy is bad, nor donkey analogy is bad. You want only cow analogy all the time?
Maybe please chant the Uttara Shanti mantra, the concluding Shannomitra as
okay. Shannomitra, you want me to chant? Concluding. Om Shannomitrasham Varunaha Shanno Bhavatvaryamaha Shannandro Brahaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramaha नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मावादिशं श्रुतमवादिशं सत्यमवादिशं तन्मामावीत् तद्भक्तारमावीत् आवीन्माम् आवीद्भक्तारम् ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम।